The new constitution that is going to start hearings Thursday, Mr. Jolin Barret's constitution, that it shows the government is becoming very authoritarian. How do you respond to that?
I think that when we use the notwithstanding clause, I think it was the Canadian Constitution since the beginning. It was requested not only by us, but by other provinces because we didn't sign the Constitution. So I think it's normal that we use this clause to protect French, to protect our values like secularism. So I can understand that some people at the federal level, they were against Bill 21, but the majority of Quebecers support Bill 21, so it's not authoritarian to say that we want to protect bills, fundamental bills that have been approved by the National Assembly.
So it's not authoritarian, is that?
No.
A little snippet there from François Legault defending himself, defending his party. James Mennie is joining us once again, reporter and columnist and editor at the Montreal Gazette. And James, first of all, it's been such a day in politics.
But I have to tell you, Joanne, the fact is, I think we'll get to François Legault in a second. There's only one story right now in Quebec, political story, and that's the absolute self-destruction of the Quebec Liberal Party, which on top of everything else, and we just heard on the news that Mr. Rodriguez has now expelled Mario Ruski from the Liberal Party, and just in time for that, we also see that those nice people over at Léger Marketing have conducted a poll for Quebecor and found that Monsieur Rodriguez enjoys the support and trust of 46% of people who describe themselves as Liberal Party supporters.
Wow.
So you know what? Ça va pas à la shop. And I got to tell you, I told you yesterday, it was you kept talking about whiplash. You should be wearing a neck brace today because
I'm actually wearing a giant turtleneck, which looks like a neck brace.
No, but the thing is, this is not over.
Yeah.
One of the things, and I had a feeling about this when Mr. Rodriguez gave his initial press conference there, where he challenged, the Journal Now, tell me your sources. I just, give a put up or shut up, blah, blah. And the thing is, when it comes to, so-called investigative journalism, you do not drop all your bombs on one run.
No.
Okay? There is plenty left in the old Bureau d'Enquête shot locker, which I'm sure we will be reading about between now, at least until January 1st, which raises a fascinating possibility, Joanne. And it occurred to me as I was watching this party, which is as old as Canada, the Liberal Party of Quebec, slowly burn itself down a la Hindenburg. And no, that is not an exaggeration. This has never happened, as far as I know. And I'm sure someone will text in if I'm wrong, but no political party in Quebec has managed to blow itself up as effectively and as quickly.
It feels, it feels like cannibalism. You're like they're destroying. The call is coming from inside the house, kind of.
Exactly. I mean, you know what? It's funny you mentioned that. That expression actually went through my mind when I was looking at all these things this afternoon. Because I think a casual. I'm not saying it happened. This is just my opinion. I got the impression from Mr. Rodriguez's remarks today that there seems to have been almost a cause and effect thing going on here between this latest bombshell from the Journal de Montréal saying that, in fact, the old straw man grift, which is basically you want to give more money than you're allowed to a political party or to a political candidate. So what you do is you give money to other people who donate it in their names, even though it's your cash. And this was suggested. The Journal saying an Anglophone businessman did so, and he wanted to give him I think it was like $500 for Pablo Rodriguez. And, of course, that's fuel for the fire for Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, the Parti Québécois, who are the nemesis. But you know what? I got to tell you, something has just whispered in my ear, Joanne, is that what if, you're François Legault, and you're being, we just heard my buddy Phil Otier from the Gazette asking him about being an authoritarian. He is plummeting in the polls.
Yeah.
He's got nothing to lose. Well, guess what? as far as I'm concerned, the Quebec Liberals have just taken themselves off the chessboard. They are no longer a political factor at all in any election.
But it's
but
what's so bizarre to me, and I need your analysis on this. So, Pablo Rodriguez is basically, he accused Mara Risky of putting herself before the party, right?
Yeah.
And he went on and he gave this press conference, and to be fair, it read sort of very paternalistic, like a wagging. Do we have a little clip? Do you want to play the little clip from it? Let's have a clip, Brian.
I asked her to get back to me. She didn't. That's a lack of loyalty to her leader, to her caucus, to her party. You want to be a leader, you have to be able to make tough decisions. That's what I'm making today. She is a well-known MP, but nobody is more important, including myself, than our party. No one.
But you see, there's a double talk here, because the moves that are being made right now they seem to be in such rapid succession, and there seems to be such chaos. That is Pablo putting himself before the party? Who's putting themselves before the party, and what's left of the party?
It's funny, because I wonder how many other women out there who are listening to that clip right now are going, yeah, that's typical.
Yeah, it felt paternalistic.
I'm the boss, you're not, but you know what? You're fired. You didn't get back to me, you have to respect me, you're fired. And I want to be clear here. Male politicians firing female politicians is hardly the domain of the Quebec Liberal Party. Francois Legault is a master at it, if you look at his record over the past 8 years. But speaking of Francois Legault, don't be surprised. The guy's in huge trouble. The guy's got nothing to lose. The Liberals are off the board. The PQ are a one-trick pony with separation. That's their weak point. And quite frankly, Quebec Solidaire, as far as anyone's concerned, no longer exists.
Yeah.
Why not call an election this spring? In fact, why not call an election right after the external report is received by the Liberal Party as to how widespread and how deep the issues go with the questions on the leadership campaign that led to Mr. Rodriguez becoming leader of the Quebec Liberal Party. Don't kid yourself. I think this is something they will be discussing over the holidays, because quite frankly, as I said, they've got nothing to lose. January 31st is the deadline for the Liberal Party report, which I would presume is going to be made public at the same time. Well, February 2nd, first Monday in February, wouldn't that be a marvelous time to have?
I mean, it's an interesting possibility to think that Legault is going to tell himself, okay, now's the time, because listen, the Liberals keep doing what they're doing; they're destroying themselves. Yeah. And as you mentioned, the Achilles heel, as far as most voters are concerned, who are against any talk of referendum, will never even consider PQ. So you're thinking there could be a surprise return for the CAQ at this point?
Listen, they got nothing to lose, and if they played it right, I mean, I don't know, it was last week, but that nice Eric Duhaime, head of the Quebec Conservative Party, already has his party's electoral slogan, which is "No referendum, no corruption." That pretty well sums it up. And in other words, we're not those guys. Okay, yeah. So this is the thing. And the other thing, imagine right now, Joanne, imagine all of our listeners, all of our listeners out there in liberal land, all of our listeners out there who have spent, decades of their life being thrown under a bus by successive liberal governments, okay? Seeing this again and going, why am I not surprised? Because the thing is, as well, and I want to be fair to Mr. Rodriguez here, this Leger poll gives Rodriguez 43% of people who describe themselves as liberal supporters. Mara Risky gets 12%. Neither of them are trusted by 17%. Oh, by the way, 28% of those who didn't have an opinion. In other words, it's worse, as I say, it's worse than not being liked. It's being ignored. And in politics, that is utter, complete death. It's
so interesting, because if I'm a political strategist for the Liberal Party right now, if I'm talking to Pablo Rodriguez, are we back to the drawing board? Are we throwing the drawing board out? Or what is happening? I'd love to know what conversations are being had, because if you hold a press conference like that, clearly you had an intention. Clearly you thought that this was going to hit home somewhere, but it didn't land. I don't think the way Mr. Rodriguez thought it would.
I really think if there's any advice that should be given to Mr. Rodriguez between now and January 31st, shut up.
I was going to.
No matter what the Journal publishes, shut up. Okay, let the report address all of those issues. Stop doing this, because right now that hole he's digging on his own, and it's getting very, very deep. As I say, as far as I'm concerned, the damage is done. They are off the board.
James Mennie is trying to say there less is more. A reporter, columnist, and editor at the Montreal Gazette. Such a pleasure to talk with you, James. Have a great one.
Always a hoot. Let's do this again sometime.
I hope so.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.